Greetings dear learners, this is Dr. SathammaiPriya, Assistant Professor, PG and Research Department of Microbiology, Kaveri College for Women, Autonomous. In this module, we will going to discuss about Introduction on Ecology. Now I am moving on to my presentation. Ecology is the study of the relationship between living organisms, including humans, and their physical environment. It seeks to understand the vital connections between plants and animals and the world around them. Ecology also provides information about the benefits of ecosystem and how we can use resources in ways that leave the environment healthy for future generation. The environment consists of both biotic components, that is living organisms, and abiotic components, that is non-living organisms. The ecology consists of the ecosystem. The ecosystem is a basic functional unit of ecology. Ecosystem can be classified into natural and the artificial ecosystem. The natural ecosystem can be classified into terrestrial ecosystem and the aquatic ecosystem. The terrestrial ecosystem further classified by grassland ecosystem, forest ecosystem and the desert ecosystem. These three ecosystems comes under the category of terrestrial ecosystem. And the second one, aquatic ecosystem. The aquatic ecosystem consists of freshwater ecosystem and the marine ecosystem. Components of ecosystem. The major components, that is biotic and abiotic components present in the ecosystem. The living organisms or living members in an ecosystem collectively form its community called biotic components. These are also called as biotic community. For example, plants, animals and the microorganisms. These three comes under the category of biotic components. The biotic components further classified into producers. The producers also called as the autotrophs. Producers synthesize their food themselves through photosynthesis. Example, all green plants and trees. The green pigments called chlorophyll present in the leaves of plants convert carbon dioxide and H2O in the presence of sunlight into carbohydrate. This process is called photosynthesis. And the second one, consumers, that is heterotrophs. The consumers depends on producers for food as they cannot produce their own food. For example, plant-eating species, insects, rabbits and goat, deer, cow, etc. The consumers are further classified as primary consumer, that is herbivores, plant eaters, and the second one, secondary consumers, that is primary carnivores, it is a meat eater, and the third one, tertiary consumers, that is a secondary carnivores, it is also a meat eaters. The primary consumers. What is mean by primary consumers? Primary consumers are also called herbivores. They directly depend on the plants for their food. So they are called plant eaters. For example, insects, rat, goat, deer, cow, horse, etc. And the second one is the primary carnivores. These carnivores are primary These secondary consumers are primary carnivores. They feed on primary consumers. They directly depend on the herbivores for their food. For example, frog, cat, snakes, fox, etc. And the third one, tertiary consumer, that is a secondary carnivores, meat eaters. The tertiary consumers are secondary carnivores. They feed on secondary consumers. They depend on the primary carnivores for their food. For example, tiger, lion, etc. These is also called as a predators. Decomposers attack the dead bodies of producers and consumers and decompose them into simpler compounds. During the decomposition, inorganic nutrients are released. The inorganic nutrients together with other organic substances are then utilized by the producers for the synthesis of their own food. For example, microorganisms like bacteria and fungi. These bacteria and fungi are the best decomposers. And the second major component is the abiotic component, that is non-living. The non-living components of ecosystem collectively form a community called abiotic components or abiotic community. For example, climate, soil, water, air, energy, nutrients, etc. The abiotic components can be classified into physical components, and the second one is the chemical components. What is meant by physical components? The physical components include the energy, climate, raw materials and living space that the biological community needs. They are useful for the growth and maintenance of its member. For example, air, water, soil, sunlight, etc. And the second one, chemical components. They are the sources of essential nutrients. For example, organic substances and inorganic substances. Proteins, lipids, carbohydrates comes under the category of organic substances. All micro and macro elements and few other elements comes under the category of inorganic substances. This is a recap for this module. In this module, we have discussed about the ecosystem and the classification of ecosystem. It is consist of natural ecosystem and the terrestrial ecosystem, artificial ecosystem. The natural ecosystem consists of terrestrial and water ecosystem. And the final one, components of ecosystem, it is consist of biotic and abiotic community. Thank you for your patient listening. Next module, we will discuss about the functions of ecosystem. Thank you.